You have to be thankful. People are dying. I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. You don't have the cards. You're running low on soldiers. You're buried there. You got to be more thankful. I want a ceasefire. That was with a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. And I gave you javelins. What if a bomb drops on your head right now? It's going to be a tough deal to make. You don't have the cards. I've empowered you to be a tough guy. Russia, Russia, Russia. They respect me. We're going to feel very good. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
But you will feel it in the future.
You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine about?
And the president who's trying to save your country. Have you said thank you once?
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, what I want to talk about today is Ukraine. And I don't normally want to talk about this controversial topic, but I thought I'd say a few things, considering my Prime Minister has agreed to, well, what I believe is a 100-year support plan. We continually provide Ukraine with aid for the next 100 years. That's what we apparently signed up for. But equally, I wanted to discuss the recent Zelensky and Trump confrontation. It's kind of ironic, really. I think Carl Benjamin has done a much better job at explaining or talking about the reasons why there's such a difference of worldview between previous Biden administration and the new Trump administration. I'm not here to comment on either or. I think it's whatever Americans choose to do is what Americans choose to do. It's got nothing to do with me. I live in Britain and I've got my own issues with Sir Keir Starmer, who does not represent me, to be quite honest. And I actually echo a lot of Trump's sentiments, because why are we continually funding this war? And I'll go into a bit more detail in this video, just to lay it out, why I'm confused. So this is an article I read 10 years ago now, 2015, but it's well-known fact that Ukraine is the most corrupt country in Europe, and was before this war. So, with that said, already, isn't it worth raising the question, if they're the most corrupt country in Europe, how can we trust them? We have a lot to say about corruption in our own countries and corruption elsewhere, in Israel, Germany, USA, and the rest of it. We don't trust these countries, apparently, even though comparatively they are less corrupt than Ukraine. And yet all of a sudden we trust Ukraine with everything, including billions and billions and billions of our hard-earned money. So I'm not going to read through this article. You can find it online, and you can Google this, you can read it in your own time. But it's just one that even The Guardian, who now obviously advocates for greater aid to Ukraine, even The Guardian reported this 10 years ago. So there is that. And this is another one I found, but there's so many others. I mean, this is for the election in 2012, but it goes hand in hand with Zelensky's election. We know that the elections are mired in corruption, and how much trust you can give to the voting polls, or the methods used to elect these leaders. So you can read here, considering the abuse of power and the excessive role of money in this election, democratic progress appears to have reversed in Ukraine. She also said the campaign was marked by biased media coverage and a lack of financial transparency. And monitors criticised the tabulation of the vote count, which they said was conducted privately with no room for impartial oversight. And the vote on October 28 appears likely to hand victory to the ruling party of readers of President Viktor Yanukovych. And there's more to it. But they basically complain and criticise the way that Ukraine holds its elections. And 5 years ago, there was a election between Vladimir Zelensky and Petro Poroshenko. One was obviously pro-Russia, and the other was pro-Europe and pro-Western hegemony and the rest of it. The rule-based order. And that was a choice, I guess, in our election. And they, apparently, if we trust the election process, they agreed to have Zelensky as leader. That is, if we believe the process. But as we know, it's minor corruption. So how can you trust the election? I mean, can you trust the election? I generally don't think so. Now, I want to emphasize that I'm not advocating, I'm not saying that Ukraine therefore deserves to be obliterated from the planet or to have a small SMO, special military operation. No, of course not. But at the same time, what caused this to become what it is today? And by continuing what we're doing, are we making things better, or are we making things worse? And that is a question one has to ask themselves, because whether you like Trump or not, I'm not here to really go into detail over that. I actually felt sorry for Zelensky, to be honest. I mean, it's kind of funny, some of the things he says when Trump was like, you don't have the cards, man, you don't have the cards. And Zelensky's like, well, I'm not playing cards.
And he happens to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing
But
cards.
right now,
You can't help but laugh, because he obviously, it's not his first language, and he doesn't understand. It's a metaphor. But it's kind of funny he didn't get it. But he didn't speak English apparently since before the war started. So he's done a very good job at learning English. So credit has to be given where credit is due. He's learnt English remarkably well, and he's understandable and he can speak. So kudos to Zelensky. That said, again, it boils down to, is it worth the price? Is it worth the price of 500,000 to how many? Again, if you trust the numbers, I don't know if I trust the numbers of people who Ukraine claims to have been killed during this special military operation. And, peace should be what is sorted, because it's costing Europe billions and cost America billions. And it's understandable why America says, I don't want this war anymore. It's not our war. It's we don't get anything from it, which is fair enough. It is true. Ukraine isn't part of NATO. It's nowhere near. It's Europe's problem. I agree with Trump. It is Europe's problem. Unfortunately, I'm in Europe, and I don't want it to be our problem. I said, look, it's not. Again, second most corrupt country in Europe. I don't trust the process. I don't trust anything. We're giving them billions. I'm not quite sure what to say, and there's so many different rabbit holes I go down, explaining all sorts of different things. Where we've seen the Doug Carlson with Putin interview, And whether we agree with that or not, I don't know. It doesn't justify the SMO, in my opinion. But, you know, Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union. It was an administrative zone, part of that empire. And it wasn't meant to be a country. It wasn't meant to be a nation state. And there are a lot of ethnic Russians in that region. So one could infer that those Russians should have a right to self-determination. But, and again, what vote would you trust coming out of Ukraine? Because Ukraine is a corrupt country. Again, you can't trust the votes. So what Putin says, what Ukraine says, it's he says, she says, who knows? Who actually knows? I don't even think our leaders know. I've got to be honest. I don't think even they know. They just trust what Zelensky says. And I think that's dangerous. I think that's very dangerous. And I think we ought to take a step back and be like, look, if you're not, you know, your country is corrupt. It's been corrupt for many years. You've only been around for the 1990. You're a corrupt country. You're not sorted out your mess yet, you know. And if you haven't sorted out your mess, how can we trust you? Everything should be based on trust. You know, trust is everything. You don't have trust, you have nothing. How can we commit billions and billions of pounds of our money? And of course, Zelensky wants it. He's not paying for it. You know, he's not paying for it. Now, I'm not going to go into the lies Trump may have alluded to. Or he say $300 billion in aid. That's not entirely true as far as I know. But I think the cost has been relatively split, 50-50 between Europe and US. So, yeah. But again, Trump has every right to say it's not his war.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait
answer?
a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have our military equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
It isn't his war. He has a right to say that, and it's true. No, let's look at the consequence of this war. It's been going on for, or this SMO, been going on for so long. So this is the population pyramid of Ukraine as of 2023. So now we're in 2025. Oh, okay. Hold on a minute. I need to find out a better demographic cost, or how to say a demographic graph of Ukraine. Why is it 2023? I was hoping to see a more recent one. 2023 as well. Have they only got it for 2023? Why can't I find anything? Oh, this is dumb. Why can't I find any graphs? Do I have to make my own graph or something? I don't. Okay. Okay, I try to prepare something for this, but clearly I've messed up. How come I can't find this? Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know where that is. Well, I guess I'll use it, but bear in mind this is a 2 year out of date. Yeah. Let's go back to it. Let's go back to this. It's 2 years out of date, so bear that in mind. So it'll be a lot worse now than it was then. And already back then it was still pretty bad. You could see the massive dip in people around between the ages of 15 and 40, there's a massive dip and decline. Now, why is that important? It means that put it after the war, who's going to be working? Obviously, everyone after 65 not working. You've got age between 40 and 60, which I imagine this has already also dipped since then. So, it's worthwhile considering, okay, what actually is going to happen to Ukraine after this? And, Trump made a deal, or is trying to make a deal with Ukraine about access to mining rights. Okay, sure. But I'm not sure who would man those enterprises, because there's going to be no one left at this rate. And it's probably worthwhile thinking stopping the war before everyone's just dead. And it takes a long while to start mining, and they have to do geological surveys. That costs a bomb. It's not. None of that is cheap, by the way. So again, they may get to keep half of it, but they currently have no idea the extent of the resources in that region. They claim it's resource rich, but how much of that is actually extractable, and how much is it going to cost? Again, energy is going to cost very much in energy. Europe has higher cost in energy than America. Where are you getting energy from? Russia? That'd be interesting. Again, all sorts of logistics need to be worked out there, don't they? I mean, it's not a simple matter of America gets the mining rights and boom, voila, instant money. It will take another 20 years. So, in my view, when Trump has said that, in his mind, obviously, he's trying to make money, but he also knows, because he's not stupid, that to make money, it needs to be safe. So, when Zelensky's banging about a security guarantee, well, mate, he's offering you a mining deal. Now, the only counter argument to that is Trump's made the same deal with Russia. So whoever gets that land have access to the mining materials or minerals in that region. But that's another that no one's confirmed that, so I cannot confirm or deny that's what's happened. But some part of me would say that's if you were a businessman, which Trump claims to be, you would play both sides. And I mean, again, can I blame him? Most corrupt country in Europe. I don't trust anything that comes out of Ukraine. I don't trust Putin, but I trust Putin more than Ukraine. And that says I should be saying that these days. That'll probably get me locked up. But as far as I know, Russia is probably corrupt, very corrupt. But according to The Guardian of all places, Ukraine was the most corrupt country prior to the war. It wasn't Russia. Russia wasn't there. It was Ukraine. So let's focus on Ukraine. Let's not talk about Russia. So can I trust Ukraine? Anyway, the whole point of this is saying, look, why continue this war? This war's obviously lost. You've lost the war. You can't win this war without support.
We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on out here. I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards.
Thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course we want to stop.
Europe is going bankrupt over this. Germany is seeing increased energy prices. I mean, Europe is still paying Russia for energy, for gas. Again, Trump was right, wasn't he, back in 2016, that we shouldn't be dependent on Russian fuel and gas. No one listens to Trump. No one listens to him. And, he could have saved Europe a whole world of pain had we listened to him properly and actually not completely dismantled our nuclear capacity. I mean, that was Germany, but, Britain as well, we are equally as bad, if not worse, because we actually started the nuclear transformation and then we abandoned it for whatever reason. the environmentalists have such a hold in this country that anything that goes somewhat a bit too bad, but everything's bad. According to environmentalists, you can't do anything because anything has a detrimental impact to the wildlife. I mean, that's another rant for another day. I mean, you can't do anything in the UK without having that being like blackmailed or robbed or, you know, threatened with prison for not doing this and the other. Unbelievable. I mean, it's an absolute disgrace. The environmentalists have such a hold, and we wonder why Britain isn't growing. Yeah, we can't grow. We've got a bunch of mobsters threatening to extort us for all sorts of money. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, no wonder we can't do anything. So it's we're still spending how many billions of pounds a year? I mean, what's her face? Rachel Reeves claiming you've got no money left. Okay, you've got no money left. Stop sending money to Ukraine. There you go, money solved. But no, of course not. We have to. I don't know why. It's some kind of Churchillian attitude where we've got to die to the end. And I mean, firstly, Churchill was an existential threat versus Nazism. It was us versus them. This is not us versus them. This is Ukraine versus Russia. That's got nothing to do with us. And again, most corrupt country in Europe. Like, I just don't get it. I just don't understand. Why are we giving them money? Why are we doing this? Maybe a little bit as a gesture, but this is just too much. Too much. Why are we shooting ourselves in the foot over this? It won't work anyway because we're giving Russia any money anyway. So what's the incentive there for him to stop? I don't know. Anyway, I'm ranting. But anyway, so according to this article published on, when was it? 2023 as well. Why am I not finding any recent articles? Casualties. Okay, maybe this one. Give me it. Yep, President Trump once again claimed the very bloody war in Ukraine had cost millions of lives. Yes, that's true. Okay, 700,000 Ukrainian soldiers killed. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Russia wouldn't comment on that. Yeah, and Ukraine has only recently begun releasing official figures. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a thing of the air, isn't it? Really, but. What I'm saying is this. I mean, this is 2013. That's right, 2023. So yeah. Russia's lost almost a million troops. If you believe the numbers. Compares the UK suffered 750,000 military casualties during the 6 years of World War II. UK suffered 750,000 military. So they suffered more casualties than the UK did in World War II. Well, then that's even more of a reason to stop this war, isn't it? I don't know. Seems like a lot of people being killed. Anyway, true military death toll is subject to intense media debate. Yeah, okay, so it's unknown. It's unknown. And also, as Tucker Carlson has mentioned, there's a ton of weaponry that was sent to Ukraine and are missing, apparently. And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. I think once this war is over, a lot more will come to light. In my view, it's my prediction. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I reckon a lot more corruption will be exposed. But yeah, more than $1 billion worth. I mean, that's quite low. I thought it'd be a lot more than that. So, So yeah, apparently these people are actually saying it's not true, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, he works for Putin, Zelensky, slams Tucker Carlson, pro-Russian, So yeah, Tucker Carlson was the one to mention this, but I mean, of course, people who, depending on what your political worldview is, you would simply dismiss whatever he's saying and say he's just far right, whatever, insert whatever insult. Fine, that's fine. Apparently he works for Putin. Okay, maybe. No, again, no evidence required. Just simply say that, and there you go. People will believe you. I don't know. I think, given the fact that it is the most corrupt country in Europe, I'm not going to be surprised if a lot of money is not going to be directed to the war effort. I mean, how can you be surprised? We already know, it's established fact that Ukraine is corrupt. So why is it surprising that a corrupt country won't put money to efforts that they were supposedly designed for? The corrupt country, can you trust a corrupt country? Can you trust it? Like when Putin, even when Trump says, "I'll trust Putin," I don't know Putin, but can you trust him? I wouldn't, but maybe Trump is Trump. Again, Trump does what Trump wants to do, but I wouldn't trust Putin. But Trump wants to trust Putin. I mean, that's his prerogative. But Trump strikes me like the guy who won't be backstabbed quite. You know, I think he'd be quite vengeful if Putin agreed to a deal and then pedaled back on that deal. But then, you know, all Putin has to do is wait 4 years. 4 years? You can just prepare for the next SMO, innit? I mean, why wouldn't you? If I was Putin, that's exactly what I'd do. Wait for Trump to leave the office and he'll just start SMO number 2. Why not? He's got a lot of time now to build up his forces. He's no longer reliant on external partners. He's completely been shut off. He's still getting money from Europe. He's got the best of both worlds. Europe can no longer, you know, there's nothing that Europe can do to stop him. He's just there. In my view, I don't really understand why and I know it sounds probably too late to say this, but why did we not become friends with Russia after the end of the Cold War? I don't get it. I don't get why we can't be friends with Russia. Because whether we like it or not, our history is thanks to Russia. So, I mean, obviously now we're set down a path of apparently never-ending hatred and disdain for Russians, but I don't see why, in principle, we can't be friends with Russia. Now, of course, this is in the context of Ukraine. I can't say that, of course. And, of course, Putin's a thug. I've got to say that. And I don't trust Putin. Of course I don't. But he also has... he probably has a lot more background and context to this than I ever have. You know, he's been around. He's been leader of the country since 1990. I don't know how long. So he knows a lot more of the context than we do. And he's successfully led Russia for however many years, decades. You know, unlike us lot who change prime ministers every 2 months. You know, he's been around for a lot longer. And it's, you know, as I said, there's justifications why the Ukraine war was warranted on his side. And yeah, you may not agree with it. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. You can't simply ignore it if he says it, because Russia, whether you like it or not, does have the capacity and the power clearly to do what he wants. And in order to work with him, you have to start engaging with him and not just start calling him a far right, whatever, or communist dictator, whatever. I mean, it could be all of those things, but that's not how you get any kind of deal done. Which is why Trump is such a beneficial, I would say, candidate, because he can reach across the curtain, so to speak, and actually engage with Putin. And I mean, who knows? You know, people of my generation would not have seen any like this type of diplomacy before. And people would like to hate on Trump for doing it. But to be honest, I welcome the new style of politics. Maybe it actually yields results. And him threatening to pull out of NATO might actually spur on some well-needed investment in our armed forces. Whether or not that succeeds, that's a topic for another day. But, you know, our armed forces we have become a woke country So who would ever fight for wokeism? You think the Muslims will join in? No offense against the Muslims, but I just doubt that those from Bradford are young boys. I'm thinking about joining the British military. I just strongly doubt that, to be honest. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe you get a ton of young Bradford people joining the military. Maybe. I strongly hope so, because that would at least prove me wrong. And I certainly won't be fighting for the British military, but that's just me. I mean, of all the wars we've done in my lifetime, I don't agree with Afghanistan. I don't agree with Iraq. I'm not saying the Iraqian or the Saddam Hussein was a good person, but I don't agree with any of it. I think diplomacy is what we need, and diplomacy backed by weaponry or tangible backing has a certain weight. And I think that's what Trump is leveraging, and it's good. He's got the cards. He's got the cards. Britain has no cards. We have no cards. We got nuclear deterrent. Whoop-de-doo. That's it. We can't do anything without America. We are America's lapdog. If you do anything, you have to have America's approval, because you can't do anything. You can't. If you wanted to stop Russia, good luck. We can't go against Russia. We just had to nuke them, but they got more nukes. But I mean, does it really matter how many nukes they got? I think one nuke suffices, doesn't it? We got 100. They got 3,000. I think a nuke in Moscow, a nuke in, I don't know, 4 or 5 nukes to destroy Russia, and we probably need the same. You won't need 3,000. I mean, a nuclear, it's just it, isn't it? It's overkill. It's overkill. Don't need 3,000. That's just it's just, and apparently I lost so many as well. So God knows who else has all these nukes. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say in this video. I know it's been a long rant, but I've been wanting to say this for a while, but I've been tempted not to say anything because it'll get me in trouble. It could get me in trouble saying this, but I just don't get why we are hell-bent on giving money to Ukraine when Ukraine has obviously lost the war. Let's focus on reaching a peace settlement. Yes, it won't be the best, but at least stop the hemorrhaging of people, of men. And anyone else, in my view, says opposite, actually wants to see more Ukrainians die. And I know it's sentimental, and I know people are like, well, let's just all kill ourselves and just fight to the death and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, maybe, but it is an alternative path. I don't think you have to. I think Putin has achieved what Putin wants to achieve. They've got the war goals. So you can stop now. You don't have to continue. And for what you're going to try and recapture what you've lost, and at what cost? It won't. I don't think it'll happen anyway. So let's just stop it now. Enough of this virtue signaling. Enough of all these European Slava, what do you call it? Slave Ukraine. It's easy to say stuff, but I'm not sure it's a good idea. I'm not sure it's the best course of action. I personally want to see less Ukrainians die. And so does Trump. And I think, that's one thing me and Trump can agree on. And instead of hating Trump, you might want to listen to him, because he may actually be saving your life right now. And so does Zelensky getting rich of this war. I mean, once the war is over, he's going to, this whole thing is going to go into the backprint of history. No one's going to remember it in 5 years' time. Prior to this, no one knew where Ukraine was on a map, and now all of a sudden everyone knows about Ukraine. Everyone cares about Ukraine. No one knew about Ukraine. It's like the most corrupt country in the world. No one cared, and now all of a sudden everyone cares. It's just funny to me how all of a sudden we went from not knowing who Ukraine is, and all of a sudden, let's slave Ukraine. No one knew where Ukraine was, so let's not pretend we always cared about Ukraine. But anyway, I'll leave it here. Let me know your thoughts, and if I'm being too harsh on this. Probably am, but we need to stop this pointless war, quite frankly, and I don't understand why we're supporting it. We need to encourage Zelensky to stop this war and stop hemorrhaging men and women, and just start rebuilding, because this is just senseless. It's senseless. It makes no sense. What is your war goal? What's the you want a security deal? Yeah, but you never get it. You're never going to get it, unfortunately. And maybe in 10 years' time, maybe I'd offer you something. But right now, it seems to be that we're out of options. Right. That's enough for me, folks. I will see you guys later.